and I'm considering the move from South Africa to the UK. We have a 2-year-old baby and wanted to ask how much on average are the nursery or the nanny fees. I can tell you right now, without even thinking about it, ne? Stay where you are. This thing of looking at an offer from a London firm that's trying to poach you to come to the UK, and you decide that you're going to convert those GBPs ne, to rands, and you realize that, oh my goodness, I'm going to be earning 3 million rand, so I'm going to be making it. Don't do that exercise. Don't do that exercise. Understand the cost of living in the country where you will be living. You do everything. You do your laundry. You are the one who cooks. You are the cleaner. And I mean, also, it's not like you are cleaning a Houghton or a Sandhurst house that has 7 ensuite bedrooms and 3 lounges and a massive kitchen. We stay in very petite spaces, if I can put it that way. So you will manage. Hello guys, welcome back to Money Sense with Miss T. My name is Tendo Jo and I am your financial coach. And on today's episode, we're doing things a little bit differently. So I'm going to just read some of those questions, but what I'm going to do is, instead of responding to every single question, I'll sort of group them up. And also, in the interest of not making this video extremely long, what I might end up doing if it's taking too long to respond to one question is I will probably just split it up, and then we'll probably have like a 2-part series or so. So let's get right into it. What should someone take into account when considering an opportunity to relocate? What advice would you give to your younger self? And I think this one was coming from the back of the fact that when I asked you guys to engage me with questions, it was because I had said, guys, I'm turning 35 and Money Sense is also turning 3. So what would you guys like to know? So I think this is where this is coming from. When are you coming back to Johannesburg? Guys, if I tell you the truth, you won't believe me. How was your journey in becoming a chartered accountant? Make a beauty video for an hour. Guys, this tells me you guys really don't know me, ne? So Tendo, tell me, how does one start making money with investments? In pounds or dollars? Not rands, please. Wanted to ask how you dealt with baby fat. Yeah, ne? I feel like this person assumes that I have dealt with it, and I'm taking this as a compliment. I'm taking this very positively. Ne? I'm not getting offended. Ne? I'm afraid of putting too much pressure on my C-section scar. Hi Tendo, hope you're doing well, you and your family. Thank you for asking. My husband and I are considering moving to the UK, and I was hoping you could advise us on a few things, like estimate the cost of living in the UK. I wanted to ask you, this is another one. I got a job offer at it's an auditing firm, and I'm considering the move from South Africa to the UK. We have a 2-year-old baby and wanted to ask how much on average are the nursery or the nanny fees. I can tell you right now, without even thinking about it, ne? Stay where you are. Let's start with the relocation questions. So there were a few of those. Actually, most of the questions were around relocation from South Africa to the UK. And I've been living in the UK since 2020, so for 3 years. But in totality, I've been away from South Africa for 4 years. So I spent a year in the US, and I spent 3 years, like I said, in the UK. So I have been, guys, I have been a foreigner for 4 years. That's a long time. But I think apart from, the small things, but not so small things of having to pay a premium for things like knickknacks and cream soda and eat some more, there are some big wins personally, especially from a perspective and from an exposure level, right? I think about the types of relationships that I have been able to be exposed to, and I've been able to nurture and just grow in understanding that, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, this world is not limited to the 11 official languages, which is the case where I come from in South Africa. So really, really have grown professionally, really, really have grown personally, with just the ability to assimilate in a foreign context, right? So yeah, but there are other things like family, which I think for me it's the biggest thing. Ever since I left home, I think I did not think through the impact of leaving that support system. And I think it became even more clear to me that, oh my goodness, I really, really value family. And I think family is important. And I want my family members where I am, is when I had a child. And I realized that, like, family is the biggest thing for me when it comes to considering moving overseas, because you want to be at peace with the fact that you're going to miss out on people's birthdays. I'm big on birthdays. I love to celebrate. I love to be celebrated by my loved ones. I just missed a very big family wedding, just as an example. Funerals, like just the small things, being able to just arrive at my sister's apartment and say I'm downstairs open. And yeah, those are the small things, but they are the big things, where I'm sitting. And when I left, I don't think I had thought through that. When I left, I was leaving because there were great opportunities for me professionally, and I get a England, and I was also married, so I needed to come join my husband. So yeah, but anyway, I've got notes that I want to go through, to just help you in the things that you want to start thinking about when you move overseas. And the first one is visa, right? So you want to understand the merits and the demerits that come with the visa that you are on. So there are many types of visas that you can apply for to come this side, right? And I don't want to get into that detail. I actually don't think I even know enough about the number of visas that you can use to come this side. But what I will do is I'll just give you a view of how visas have played out in our family, right? So my husband came here on let's call it a scarce skill visa, right? So he came here on a skills visa, and that visa was sponsored by his employer. This means that he didn't have to incur any costs. The employer actually paid for his visa. But how he paid for it, because I want you to always know that in this life, there is nothing for free. Absolutely nothing for free. How he paid for it is he needed to serve the employer for a specific period of time, and that was basically paying off the visa costs, right? And I think it depends. It varies with visa, from visa to visa, as well as from employer to employer. But for him, I think he needed to have served, I think, a period of 18 months or 2 years for him to have fully paid up the visa costs. So such that had he left in the first year, he would have needed to pay back the employer a certain amount. Right, so that's important to understand about your visa. Understand the merits as well as the demerits that come with your visa. So the other thing around this visa that he is on is that this visa is obviously limited to skills that this country considers scarce, like auditing roles, etc. So if he wanted to go and work in industry and do something completely different, he could, but it would be very difficult. It's not impossible, but it is a bit difficult to get roles where the employers here are willing to sponsor you. So it's important for you to just understand that about the type of visa that you are coming on. Not alternatively, on the other hand, I came on a spousal visa. So he is my sponsor, right? Let's not even get there. So he is my sponsor, right? So we actually have to pay for this visa from our combined income. So yes, it's expensive, extremely expensive. Actually, the other day we were doing the calculation, and we were like, actually, by the time you naturalize, that means by the time you become a permanent resident, or by the time you become a citizen of the kingdom, you could have very much raised a deposit for two very decent homes in this country, right? Just by visa costs. And the visa costs are extremely expensive. They do not come cheap, but that's the demerit of the spousal visa, right? But I think the positive thing about the visa that I'm on is that it doesn't limit me to roles that are considered or that are ring fenced and that are considered scarce skills. So that's just some of the things that you want to bear in mind when you do move overseas. You're going to have to be on some form of a visa. So understand that visa, understand the merits of the visa, understand the demerits of the visa, and understand that if you want to naturalize at some point, which actually most people decide to naturalize eventually, how long it's going to take and how much it's going to cost you. All right. Next would be the cost of living, right? And I've got friends who actually have a budgeting template for people who specifically want to relocate, and I'm happy to ask them to share it with you. But again, it's to understand the numbers, guys. This thing of looking at an offer from a London firm that's trying to poach you to come to the UK, and you decide that you're going to convert those GBPs to rands, and you realize that, oh my goodness, I'm going to be earning 3 million rand, so I'm going to be making it. Don't do that exercise. Don't do that exercise. Understand the cost of living in the country where you will be living, in the country where you will be actually earning this GBP. So it's very important to do the homework of reaching out to the people that live in the city that you want to go to, right? Reaching out to people in the country that you want to go to, right? And understanding that, let me take the salary that I'm going to be earning, understand the costs, understand the major costs. Like the major cost is obviously accommodation, transport, food, etc. If you've got a child, even more important, right? How are you going to navigate the nanny situation or the childcare situation? So understand all of those things, plug them into that budgeting template, and make a decision from a place of knowledge, that actually I might not be bowling. I might not be able to save so much money that I'll be able to pay off my house or my bond in 3 years, or whatever the case is. Some of the things that I told myself when I left South Africa. So please do the homework. Please do the homework. Numbers don't lie. Numbers will never lie to you. So be honest with yourself. Be honest even with the people that you're going to seek help from, and just be clear about what the costs are and what your income is going to look like. So healthcare costs, and again, I think a lot of us think healthcare in this country is free. No, nothing is free. Nothing ever comes for free. We are paying for healthcare services, right? But I think it's a little bit, or you experience it a little bit differently here, because there are no co-charges and which would ordinarily be the case in South Africa. But I think for us, or rather, let me speak for myself, I found the healthcare system to be very friendly to me, especially when we found out that I was expecting. Like from the day I discovered that I was pregnant, the midwife, what do you call them? The midwife sessions, right? Which I think for most of you guys back at home, you would be seeing a gynae, yeah, which you pay upfront, lots and lots of money. And I think you can claim it back from medical aid. But yeah, we see midwives, and again, you're not paying anything extra, and that's why I'm saying we are experiencing it a little bit. We experience healthcare costs a little bit differently because you're not physically having to incur a lot of costs. But I feel like, especially at the back of the research that I did on YouTube, just watching YouTube videos, running up to giving birth to Kai, I learned that a lot of women were complaining about the cost of giving birth in South Africa, that it was extremely expensive, and that you can literally leave that hospital with your bundle of joy, but also equally with a long list like this of an invoice where they are tabling out line by line from something as small as the gloves that the nurses used and the, what do you call it, the face masks, as well as the gynae that came, that delivered your baby, the surgeon, the pediatrician, the anesthesiologist, yeah, all of that, right? And guys, I experienced it completely differently. Like I said, if you've listened to some of my videos, I had a low risk pregnancy, so such that when I went to the hospital, we were all clear. We were all clear that it was going to be a natural birth. So I was going to give birth vaginally, but we ended up having a C-section, right? And I think if something like that had happened to me in South Africa, right, we would have experienced that very differently financially, because that would have meant that we were going to pay a lot of money that we were not planned, or that we had not planned for, or that, yeah, we had really not put aside for this birth. So again, gave birth, had an entire team of specialists in that theater, and yeah, left with the baby. Like, guys, when I say free, I mean free, right? But understand the nature of this free that I'm talking about. Yeah, guys, nursery costs are very, very expensive. We're doing the maths the other day with my husband, and literally it's the equivalent of our household, like our rent, as well as if we had a car, that car installment. That's literally how expensive nursery is. And it explains why a lot of women are out of work, or rather choose to rather raise their kids themselves than go back to work. And that's why the government is trying to reduce the nursery costs, so that they can stimulate the economy by getting more women back into the workplace, because women are just like, we are not coming. We are not coming. We are not prepared to contribute almost half of our salaries to a nursery when we could raise children ourselves. But obviously, that has other mental health implications, right? But again, as soon as the child is 4 years old, from the time they go to university, schooling is pretty much free, unless you want to take them through private education. And then if they want to go to university, again, there is government funding, which does not have limits around missing middle and like is the case in South Africa. Every child, every citizen will have access to the government funding. And then transport, guys, if we were in South Africa, we would definitely need two cars to move around. Here, we use our feet. We walk everywhere. Unfortunately, we live in the city center, so we don't really need a lot of we don't really use a lot of transport per se. So we walk almost everywhere. But if we do need to access transport is there are many different types of transport systems that you can use that can work for you, like trains, guys. I don't even have to go into the detail. And again, it's not as expensive. Trains, buses, trams, Ubers, public transport is seamless. Public transport is not expensive. Public transport is actually the best way to move around in Europe, move around in the UK. But if you want to, you can have a car. And again, cars also are not, they're not as expensive as they are in South Africa. So the other very, very important thing to take note of, and I think for me it was a very big thing because I just wasn't used to doing everything myself. So with most of these overseas territories, they're very much DIY. You do everything yourself. You do your own hair, which is why this is the preferred hairstyle for me. You do everything. You do your laundry. You are the one who cooks. You are the cleaner. And I mean, also, it's not like you are cleaning a Houghton or a Sandhurst house that has 7 ensuite bedrooms and 3 lounges and a massive kitchen. We stay in very petite spaces, if I can put it that way. So you will manage. You'll be fine. It takes some time to get used to, because obviously at home outsourcing these types of things is not as expensive as is the case this side. So yeah, that was again one of the things that I think dribbled me a little bit, and something worth thinking about, and something worth just understanding the landscape, right, of the country that you are going to. I hope this really helps, and yeah, if it does, please, 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 please don't forget to subscribe. Let me know in the comment section if this video was helpful. Thank you so much.